I'd like to call to order the Town Council meeting of February 24. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Brian Blazak,
Present.
Paul Panzak,
Here.
Wayne Pondinas,
Present.
Michael Schilling,
Here.
Jerry Swett,
Present.
David Westland, present, and Beth Hernandez, present.
Okay. Item number 4 will be the approval of the minutes. We have the January 27 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the January 27th, 2021 meeting.
I'll second.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Wayne. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. That passes 5-0. Item number 5 is public comment. Is there anyone signed up for public comment? Did you want to speak? Did you want to speak now, or is it for the public hearing?
I don't know. I just wanted to join, be part of the town hall and just like raise a comment.
Step forward. The name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Mike Mile Kovacevic. I live at 9885 Meadow Rose Lane, St. John. Thank you. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm actually kind of proud that I actually made a step here just to make a public comment, and I love that the room is full. So,
Welcome.
thank you. My comment is more regards to see what the council can do for the constituents of St. John, and probably further for the state of Indiana regarding these illogical mask mandates. I'll be short, but if you guys ever had a previous position in your earlier life where you had to sign a OSHA document where they're responsible for your liability at workplace, they've been in existence since 1970, and they're responsible for testing masks. What are our tax dollars doing if we don't know if masks work, or if we need 2, if we need 3, if we need a face shield, if we need plexiglass? This is ridiculous. Warmer weather's coming, and this is just a quote from 1999 from the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. I'm sorry, I'm nervous.
Okay.
Sorry for my voice. But Linda Rosenstock, MD, MPH, Director of National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, states a number of studies have shown that surgical masks will not provide adequate protection in filtering out the TB organism, which is similar to COVID. Additionally, surgical masks are not respirators and therefore are not National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health certified and do not satisfy OSHA requirements for respiratory protection. That's just one. If we go to a box that actually sells masks, it says this product is an ear loop mask. This product is not a respirator and will not provide any protection against COVID, coronavirus, or other viruses or contaminants. So why are we wearing them? If you do a simple Google search, OSHA, study on masks, 4 words, OSHA, altogether, study on masks, a 2-page PDF will pop up. It's called Respiratory Infection Control, Respirators versus Surgical Masks, OSHA. So it's a 2-page PDF, and the most important thing is on the second page, where it clarifies surgical masks are not designed or certified to prevent the inhalation of small airborne contaminants. These particles are not visible to the naked eye, but may still be capable of causing infection. Surgical masks are not designed to seal tightly against the user's face. During inhalation, much of the potentially contaminated air can pass through gaps between the face and the surgical mask and not be pulled through the filter material of the mask, so they cannot be relied upon to protect workers against airborne infectious agents. I can go on for days. I did probably 3 weeks, and this is open source research for you, me. The public is not dumb. We've never wore a mask prior to 2020. The flu, they've done studies where the flu is similar to COVID. If it passes the same way, what are we doing? I have a nephew that plays basketball in Milwaukee. I'm watching him on YouTube. They're playing basketball with masks. How is that safe? I mean, I hear it's different in Indiana. I don't have any family that play basketball here, but it's different, and it matters. CDC says, what is the difference between influenza and flu? You guys can cut me off at any time, but I'll just.
We go with the 3 minutes, and your 3 minutes aren't up yet, so I will let you know.
Okay,
Could
thank you.
But I would encourage you that if you wanted to share those documents with us, if you would like to scan those in and email them to us, or if you would like to give them to me when you're done,
Sure.
I'll be more than happy to distribute them out.
Sure, and I don't even know what.
Could you please go a little farther away from the microphone?
Oh, sure, I apologize. Okay. CDC says, what is the difference between influenza, flu, and COVID-19? They're both contagious respiratory illnesses. So what's the difference? We didn't wear a mask for the flu season. What are we doing this now? The only reason I bring this up is people are getting more and more blatant. Like, I'm at Walgreens the other day, and a lady I'm cashing out, and I just ask a question because I'm buying cigarettes, and I probably should not be smoking, but I ask, why do you need my ID when I'm wearing a mask? You can't see my face. And the lady says, oh, it's store policy. This lady behind me chimes in. She goes, well, you're not wearing your mask properly. And I'm like, I worked in the pharmaceutical, I'm gonna finish up. I worked in the pharmaceutical industry for over 15 years, and I had to take PPE exams, and we knew, and everybody who has to wear a mask regarding OSHA requirements at work, no, they do not work. I plead to the council, whatever you can, whether it's an ordinance, whether you can put a fire underneath OSHA's in Indianapolis or nationally. I would imagine I'm not the only one in St. John that feels this way. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Daniel Racing.
Daniel Rising. I live at 14902 93rd Avenue. I'll make this real short and real sweet. The members of this council that were just elected in this last election, you guys were elected from a pack that formed to support you, because you were not the pick for the Lake County GOP. I just want to make sure you were reminded of that. Everyone on this council, with the acceptance of Wayne, has issued an apology for the abhorrent behavior that was allowed to stand in this room at the last meeting. You had a gentleman that has been nothing but a problem for you guys, who has stood here and spouted nonsense meeting after meeting, directed it all at Beth. You gavelled him down and shook his hand after he spewed his nonsense, and asked a hypothetical about causing physical harm to not only one of your colleagues, but to the only woman sitting up there. None of you had anything to say about it after the fact except for Wayne, and I appreciate that. He owned it up. The rest of you didn't have the balls to do that. It is disgusting that you sat up there and allowed that to happen, and that he was not escorted from this room. If you guys can't take that much responsibility to stand up for not even the only woman in the room, which I would never have been allowed to stand, because no one would speak to my mother or to my wife that way, so maybe put your shoes on and think about that next time, but nobody would do that to a colleague. It is disgusting that nobody else opened their mouth and nobody else said anything. Just remember that you were put on this board by people who pushed back against the county GOP and wanted a change. If this is the change I signed up for, I'll vote for the next damn Democrat on the ticket before I allow this to stand. It had to come from the town attorney to speak to the chief. You didn't even do a collective action with the chief to have charges brought. That was a falsehood that I seen got put out there, and I don't know by who. So think about that. The next time somebody hypothetically threatens another one of your colleagues, that it's not going to stand. And think about what you would have done had that been your wife. Beth married me and my wife back in November. She's a personal friend. I was half tempted to drive up here myself and ream you guys for it. So just think, maybe we should, not shake the hand of a man that threatens somebody. Because you're the only one, Mr. Sweats, that we didn't get the chance to take off the ticket this year. And if you're gaveling down and thanking people for their shitty comments is how you run up there, then your seat's the next one to go, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else, sir? No. Okay. We'll move on to number 6. We have a public hearing on ordinance 1725, which is a petition for annexation of certain real property to the town of St. John. Petitioners are CWS Holding LLC. Mr. Westland.
So the proofs of publication are in order. The purpose of tonight is to take public comment with regard to the annexation of this particular property. Petitioner being CWS Holding. We have one following it as well. You'll take the public comment, and then pursuant to statute, you have to wait at least 14 days to take up the ordinance on annexation.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. So with that, I will open the floor to public comment. Is there anybody that signed up for commenting on this annexation?
Jerry, I do have 3 public comments that were submitted
Oh,
by
I'm
email.
sorry.
No, that's okay. One pertains to 1110 annexation, I think, so I'll wait on that one for that public hearing. The other
Okay.
2 are general in nature.
Okay,
So should I just,
we can go back to that
Yeah.
now.
let's go back to
Okay.
public comment. I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. So 2 general public comments. The first is from John Beekoff, Homestead Acres. My neighbor told me I could email and have this read at the meeting tonight. I was told that there are councilmen at town hall every day acting as the town manager. I don't think this is right and should not be allowed. We are not a city. We have no mayor. We are a town of 5 councilmen. If he is going to be the town manager, then he needs to resign as a councilman. If he is going to be a councilman, then he needs to stop acting like the town manager. Second is from Bob Valoy. On behalf of the Public Works Department, we would like to say thank you to Wayne and Mike for assisting us in plowing the streets during the last snowstorm. It is nice to see our council members going above and beyond to help out. It was much appreciated, and he thanks you.
And then we've got one more that you're going to hold for the
I'll
public.
hold for 1110.
Public hearing?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I should probably address the town manager thing. We do currently have a search going on for a town manager. At our last meeting, we asked our attorney about having Mr. Blazek sit in and handle some of the responsibilities of the town manager, and he preferred that we did not, or recommended that we did not do that. That is not what Brian is doing. We gave authorization to all of the department heads to handle all their own decisions and their own signatures. There are a number of things that we need to stay on schedule with, and emails that come in, and I think Brian's working on some of those things. So he is not acting as the town manager, and yeah, I would like to thank him for the work that he's doing. So that's all I have. So we'll go on back to the public hearing for ordinance 1725. Proofs of publications are in. Paul, any remarks as far as location, what this is, other than seeing it up on the screen?
It's adjacent to the existing Greystone development, so I believe there's small puzzle pieces that they intend to add into that development. Some little lost parcels that are not in St. John. So you see to the left of the arrow is the Greystone development where it kind of ends. And I think they're looking to bring a few parcels in to connect it up.
Okay. Any other comments from the council? If not, we'll open up the floor for public comment. Again, Mr. Westland, anybody sign in for that?
No.
No. Is anybody here to speak? This public hearing on this annexation? All right, we will close the floor to public comment. Gentlemen, you have the fiscal plan in front of you, so that's been introduced to you. You also have the ordinance in front of you, and that is slated to be handled at our March 24th meeting. Any comments, questions, gentlemen? Nope. That handled that sufficiently, Mr. Westland?
Yes.
Okay. Then we will move on to ordinance 1726, which is also a public hearing, which is annexation for a certain property. The petitioners are 1110 LLC. Mr. Westland.
So the proofs of publication are in order, and again, nobody has signed in, but I know Beth has the one email, which should be read as part of the record, and then take any public comment if there's someone who hasn't signed in, and then you want to handle the same way with action potentially being on March 24th.
Okay. Beth.
Okay, this is an email from Jason Shields. My name is Jason Shields. I own a home west of the aforementioned property. I would like to express my opposition to the annexation. I would like to make 2 requests for information. What zoning will the land have if the annexation is approved? I would like to request that you email me a copy of the public hearing minutes and transcript.
Okay. That's all you have, Beth?
Yes.
Anyone else here to speak in this public hearing regarding this annexation? No.
What's the address of that?
That is
11115
111 something Parish.
11115 Parish Avenue. 4 1s, then a 5.
Or one, so it's south of 109th on Parish.
Looks like it's south of Mill Creek subdivision, north of 113th Street.
Correct.
As
Just
far,
north of the, would be the
Dairy farm.
Kleiny Dairy Farm.
in an answer to the question that was raised as far as the zoning, it will come in as as R1. I'm sorry, another question or comment?
Yeah, what are they planning to do with the water that's displaced by the new homes?
Can you come up to the speaker, the microphone, please? We've got to get questions that everyone can hear, and we need you on the record, so I need your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Leon Ruiz. I live at 11030 Parish Avenue. And I'm wondering, what are they going to do with the water that's displaced by the new homes that are going up? Right now, they have a retention pond at the Mill Creek subdivision, and it's working real well. And it's not causing any damage to the property on the west side of the road. But what are they going to do with this new subdivision?
Well, I don't think it's a subdivision now. I think if they're just annexing the land in, they'll come back at a different time with a plot for the land, and at that point, they'll address the drainage issues.
Mm-hmm.
So be assured that when something comes in to the town to be annexed in, and it comes in with a primary plat and a subdivision, they're responsible to make sure that the water doesn't affect anything outside of their area. So that will all be addressed when it's time for the primary plat. So if this does come forward for a development as far as a subdivision, I would encourage you to come back and ask those questions to the Plan Commission as it comes through.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, Paul?
The only other comment, someone had asked what zoning does this come in at? I'm not sure if that was you or someone else.
No, someone else.
So everything is annexed at R1 generally, so this will be coming in at R1, which is residential, the largest lot size.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sure.
You in the back have a question or comment? You come up to the microphone, please. Name and address for the record.
Bob Reindeck, 10,000 West 113th Avenue. I'm right down the street from the proposed site. I'd just like to voice my opinion, my opposition to the annexation. Part of the reason is some of the neighbors have been worried about, may I take this off?
Yes.
Some of the neighbors are worried about water. We all are on a well system, and we're concerned about more homes. I know that the town of St. John is going to be digging or putting in some more water towers, and my understanding is they're going to go 300 feet. My well is 60 feet. So some of us have 100. One person just had a new well dug because they're worried about running out of water, so they had to dig 100 feet. So because of these concerns, I really object to the annexation because it means more homes. I don't know how many homes they're planning on building, but that's just more water usage.
Right.
I know the town is addressing that issue, but as residents, where does that leave us? You're digging a 300-foot well. I'm at 60 feet. Water finds its own level. Does that mean in a few years that I'm going to be out of water? Who do I come to talk to about that?
Hopefully that won't happen.
Well, I hope
One
not.
thing, when we do put wells in, they can't affect surrounding wells that when they test them,
Okay.
you know,
All right. Nevertheless, on the record.
because we're, as the water utility, if we dry up someone's well, then we're on the hook for putting them a new well in to get them water, so.
Good to know. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comment? Yes, sir. Hello.
Tim Gerald, 11817 Parish.
Can you pull your mask down?
All right.
Thank you.
I just want to follow up with that gentleman with the water issue. I would go on record saying I'm against the annexation. It's a fact that our wells have been affected by this. We have close friends that have right across the street from that who had to get their pump dropped down an extra 20 feet. I myself had to get Sheehy out to drop our pump down further. I believe, but I won't say it for a fact, but I believe Kleiny's have had problems.
Okay.
So with more houses, and I know you guys are having problems with the hard water, iron in the water, stuff like that. So before any more houses get built, I want to know that we got a plan for water because it's affecting all of us.
Right.
That water table, you might think it doesn't affect anybody else, but I'm pretty sure it does. And Sheehy Well and Economy Well would agree too that the water table is getting affected. So that's all I got. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Yes.
Hello, my name is Linda Ruiz. I live at 11030 Parish Avenue. I am concerned about the traffic situation on Parish Avenue. We have so much more traffic. I've lived there practically all my life. And when we first moved there, when I was 6 years old, maybe you'd see 4 or 5 cars going by a day. Now, the traffic, and plus 231 with the mess over there, we see so much more traffic because of the other subdivision. What's going to happen when this one comes in? Where are they putting the entrance?
They've not proposed a plan yet, so they would have to come back to start with that. They're just asking to bring the land into the town. And as we said, the other gentleman about the stormwater, that would all have to be addressed, and entrances to be safe and that type of thing.
Is there going to be another meeting where all this will be addressed so we could get some questions answered?
Yeah, that would be when they come back with an actual layout, a plan or a proposal, then that would be looked at. So I know they were putting a number of homes. They're going to keep the larger lot size. That was all I'd heard so far, but they don't have a formal plan yet at this time.
So we don't know how many houses are going in there.
No, but it wouldn't be more than, it would be less than 2 per acre because they have to have at least half-acre lots the way they're,
There's
at
20
least.
acres there, from what I heard.
It'd be half-acre lots, plus you got to get streets and a detention area, that kind of thing. So if they were to build, and answer that question about stormwater a little bit. So when anyone builds anything in town, they have to hold their own water. So usually it actually controls the water better because they're forced to put a detention pond in, keep that water back and let it out slowly. So they'll have to do that. But that'll all be part of the platting process when they actually come in with a real plan for the Plan Commission folks to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, now when you annex that land, who is it going to be annexed from? Cedar Lake or Hanover Township or what?
It's currently just unincorporated. So they're saying that the landowner is volunteering to become a part of this town of St. John. So he or she is simply volunteering to become one with the town. So it's currently unincorporated. And the county generally promotes that. They don't want to try to keep track of all these little things. It's usually easier for a town to handle it and extend utilities, that kind of thing.
And who is the developer, do you know?
I do not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone? Then I will close the public comment to the floor. Comments from the board here? Anyone? All right. So you have before you, gentlemen, the fiscal plan. You also have the ordinance. This will be up for consideration and adoption at the March 24th meeting. We move on to item C, ordinance 1728, which is an ordinance reestablishing the CCD fund. Beth?
I did send proofs of publication over to Dave, I believe yesterday. They are in order. Opening remarks. This ordinance 1728, would reestablish the rates of our cumulative capital development fund, which we refer to as CCD. So the maximum rate is 5 cents per $100 of assessed value, and over time, the rate falls, which results in less levy being received by the town. By reestablishing the rate, the town will generate roughly $69,000. This is in the year 2022. We work a year behind or ahead in the CCD fund. I know, Brian, we were kind of talking briefly about what we can use the CCD fund for. Really, you can use it for just about anything. Historically, we do use this fund for capital projects and expenditures. So some of your road projects are paid from CCD. I know this year we bought a few police cars from the CCD fund. So generally, we try to reserve the fund for capital expenditures, but by reestablishing that rate, we should see about $69,000 in addition to our normal revenue in 2022.
Okay, thank you. Sorry I went out of order. Mr. Westland?
No, it's okay.
The proofs of publication are in order, as Beth indicated.
Thank you. I will open the floor to public comment. Is there anyone from the floor who would like to address this? Reestablishing the CCD fund? Calling twice? Calling 3 times? Okay, I will close the floor to public comment. Any comments from the board?
Only one. Ms. Beth, when the fund kicks in, is it a year-to-year basis?
Well, the fund is already established. We're just
Right, we're reauthorizing it.
right. We're
Can you turn your microphone on, please?
Huh?
Can you turn your microphone on?
No, I was just curious that there's no reduction in the rate because it's reestablished every year, so therefore the 5 cents stays with the...
Well, what happens is as our assessed value grows,
Correct.
the rate drops, and so by reestablishing the rate, we're bringing the rate back up to the maximum.
What's the next step for the rate to go down? And time, is
As
it
more
just
people move
time?
in.
Like the more people that move in, the higher our assessed value grows. So
Okay.
as our assessed value grows, the rate drops.
Oh, okay.
So by reestablishing the rate, you're just bringing the rate back up to that
I
maximum
remember Eric discussing it with
of
us.
5 cents per $100 of assessed value. So,
Thank you.
yep.
My question would be if is there urgency time frame on this ordinance?
We are on a time frame we have to publish the notice in the newspaper.
Microphone, please. I'm sorry.
We have to publish the ordinance in the newspaper,
Okay.
wait 30 days to see if we have anyone remonstrate, and then receive a certificate from county saying that nobody did remonstrate. So, and then we have to turn all of our paperwork into the DLGF to make sure that we're set and ready to go for 2022. So there is a time.
So you would like this
I would
passed on
like you
first
to
reading
pass
tonight?
if you have unanimous on first reading.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? Then I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to consider ordinance number 1728, an ordinance reestablishing the CCD fund.
I'll second.
Is that going to be on first reading? Mike?
Yeah, first reading.
Okay. All right, thank you, Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That passes 5-0. And since that is unanimous, is there a motion to adopt ordinance 1728 and authorize the town council president to sign?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Wayne. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 7, new business. 7A, 2021 Community Crossing Grant Bid Opening.
You have 3.
Okay?
Gallagher Asphalt, Reith Riley, and Walsh and Kelly. So we'll open those now.
Under their old name.
Gallagher Asphalt, total cost and base bid items, $2,066,418.07.
Once more, Dave.
$2,066,418.07. I know these guys want them to be sealed, but I wish they would make it easier to get into them when you want to. Okay. Reith Riley. $1,333,190.81. $1,333,190.81.
Seems wrong.
And then Walsh and Kelly. $1,651,794.98. It's $1,651,794.98.
Matt Vigneault is available, I know that. But
Everything is in order?
Looks to be, yes.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? I think Matt is available from Haas if we have any questions for him on this. No? Okay. So the time frame on this community crossing grant that was established shows that we will review these bids At least that's a recommendation I'll be looking for. And we were going to have a special council meeting on March the 3rd, which we will award the bids after reviewing them with Haas and Associates, the engineer and our attorney. Is that correct? Okay.
I'll make a motion to take the bids under advisement and then award the bid at the March 3rd special town council meeting.
Thank you, Mike. Is there support for that?
Second that.
Thank you, Paul. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. It is approved 5-0. Item 7B, update on 93rd Avenue and the US 41 improvements. Paul?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to give an update on a few things tonight, and one of them being the 93rd and 41 intersection. We've been working on that. I put together a little presentation for the public, just so that you're aware of the where we're at in the process of trying to improve our traffic situation in town. There's a slide up on the sheet. I'll just kind of read through it. Conceptual planning was completed with First Group Engineering. Actually, as recent as this week, we put some final touches on that, and they provided a contract to do engineering, which we will review and look for approval on. Budget is approximately $2.9 million and is already funded via the 2020 general obligation bond. And that amount may be flexed using budgeted 2023 road funds and or potential excess in the GO bond fund. And the reason I mentioned 2023 is that's when the work would commence. No homes or businesses will be taken for the project. The project adds dual left turn lane and dedicated right turn lane onto 93rd eastbound approach to US 41. So that's, you're coming from Prairie West Park and you're approaching that intersection, it gets bottlenecked at rush hour. That's going to be significantly improved. It also adds a left turn lane on 93rd at Kyleman. So if a car's waiting to turn on Kyleman, they're not going to clog up 93rd and back it all up. Adds a dedicated right and left turn lane on the Kyleman approach to 93rd. Also adds a right turn lane on 93rd westbound to US 41. So that right turn lane would be where Golo is. We would sneak a lane in there so you'd be able to make a right turn on the 41 instead of getting backed up. Next slide, please. It also would include resurfacing Kyleman from 93rd to School Street, resurfacing 93rd from US 41 to Town Hall and the railroad. This project also incorporates adding decorative lighting to the area on US 41 between 93rd and 97th, including backlit intersection street identification with Town of St. John logo, black and white color theme. A potential add-on, this would only be if that corner was developed, so a potential add-on would be the old dental office if the landowner proposes a redevelopment there. We would take that opportunity to add a turn lane and a through lane adjacent to that corner. But at this time, that is not part of the project, but it's something we're keeping an eye on because there still would be time to add that in later. The water main under 93rd Avenue from Town Hall to the Kyleman area would be replaced before these improvements were done. And I know the Water Board and water folks are looking at a list of mains that be replaced, that being one of them. Next steps are full engineering, land acquisition, because there's a lot of small little parcels that front the street. We need a little bit more room to expand these lanes. Utility relocation, there's significant utilities in the area. It's going to be challenging. It's an older part of town and was made for a 2-lane country road, so we're going to try to improve it. Estimated construction would be 2023. So on the next slide, we actually have a picture of the concept. Kind of hard to see, but that's kind of an overlay of what you have there, and you could see that it's widened out to 3 lanes on the left side. That's where the Kyleman area is. And then as you approach 41, it widens out, and you have multiple lane choices. It should do pretty well to eliminate that bottleneck approaching US 41 at 4 in the afternoon. So that's how that side of the intersection looks. Now, if you go to the next slide, on the other side, you can see a right turn lane added in front of Golo, And then that's where that right turn lane will be added. Now, where that white box is, that's the dental office. So we could add these lanes, but at this time, it's not part of the project. We would have to wait for that corner to redevelop. It would be too expensive for the town to acquire that property to put that in. So we're hoping to partner when it gets redeveloped with the landowner to get that done and get that land. So, so we've been busy at work. Mike and I have been partnered up on this and having a whole lot of meetings last summer and all the way up to now. And it's good to see it actually happening. So again, there's a contract. I've submitted it to the attorney for review as well as the council. So perhaps at your next meeting, you could review the contract with First Group and approve it. And that's basically hitting the go button. They'll start doing full engineering and survey work and start getting to get this thing done. So it'll take a while for all that pre-work, but by the end of 2023, it should look a whole lot different there. Should be good.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Any
Sure.
other comments, Mike?
Thank you, Paul, on that. He did, he brings my name into it a little bit. Paul was very instrumental in sharing that project and did a lot of the leg work. I was with him a few times, but Paul dedicated a lot of time to that.
Thanks, Mike. It's been fun. It'll be nice to see that work get done. It's something the town really needs. So.
And so to both of you guys, I'd like to say thank you for your work and also let you know that I did receive some positive comments on the decorative lighting that's been done. They really appreciate it, think it really looks nice. So thanks for driving that project, guys. Anybody else? Then we'll go on to item C, update on 96th Place extension.
Okay, so another question often asked is what's happening with 96th Place. So and I've fielded questions on social media and online and in person and email and messenger and everything about this project. So I did a recap presentation. I wanted to do this before departing just to kind of keep everybody in the loop on what's happened. There's a lot happens that no one really gets to see. And I've talked about bits and pieces of this all the past year, but usually it's at the Redevelopment Commission meeting. So if you're tuning into town council meeting, you're missing this part because it's in the meeting prior to it. So I thought I would do a full recap. And it won't take that long, just a couple slides. So we picked this project up right after 2019 soil issues caused bids to come in over budget. Essentially, the project was shelved at that time. Work was delayed and a reroute of 96 to better soil was proposed. So fast forward to January 1st, 2020, where this council took effect. Various intersection options were analyzed. A concept for T intersection was chosen to maximize traffic flow and minimize impact to nearby residents and landowners. This change also provides relief, contributing to all litigation related to this project to be settled during 2020. So you may or may not be aware, but there were multiple court issues based on land taking, and the revision of the intersection provided great relief to these landowners and to Theo Cabinet Shop especially, that they were going to lose quite a bit of their property and have difficulty using their driveway. So that was a good revision, and you're going to actually get to see pictures of this. I'm going to take you through that in a minute. So also in January 2020, and this is really important to everyone who always asks, what's our plan for pathways and sidewalks in town? So we sat down here one winter day a year ago and revised the plans to include an 8-foot pathway from the Joliet connection at Kyleman, which is over near the cabinet shop. From Joliet, where the cabinet shop is, all the way to Kyleman, and put in a signal actuated crosswalk on 96th Place and 41. So this important addition is a cornerstone of path expansion, eventually providing a full east-west path connection in St. John from the existing trail system reaching to Heartland Park and preserves all the way to the gates and eventually to the Pensy Trail. So 4 future segments would be from Parish Joliet Roundabout along Joliet to 96th Place, from Kyleman to Bull Run Drive, from White Oak to Saddle Creek / Greystone, and from the preserves up to Bramblewood and Edgewood Castle Rock. So those would be the 4 additional links that would really complete it. Even honestly, 3 of those links would complete it. The 4th one is just icing on the cake. So, but putting that sidewalk right in the middle of town, if that was not inserted last January, we'd never connect east to west. We would have lost that opportunity. So you could see that 8-foot path that's out there now from Kyleman, and it runs into where the new Center Bank's getting built. And as that new road gets built, you'll see it there too. Thank you. So spring through late 2020, we renegotiated the economic development agreement. So the economic development agreement was forged by the last council, and it bound the town to certain economic and development responsibilities. So what may not be known is we renegotiated it to avoid legal issues, to allow until May 31st of 2021 for completion of 96 Place extension and connection. This extension allowed the town to choose the least expensive yet more time-consuming alternative for soil improvement, which is surcharge and wick drain. So Mr. Boyer worked with the town and partnered with us at least in this facet, instead of having us end up in court and having issues because we were not meeting our legal obligations. So that was a good win for the taxpayers. We were able to pay less for the road work, take a little more time, and not end up in court over it. Late summer 2020, the contract for soil improvement was awarded to Goff, and construction underway. Completion of earthwork estimated next month or April, worst case, 2021. It's currently 90% complete. In December of 2020, a contract was awarded to Walsh & Kelly for the 96 Place road construction to commence spring 2021 as soon as earthwork is complete. A bid alternate was accepted to perform adjacent repaving as part of this project to provide better result in cost savings for consolidation. This repaving includes Thielen and Joliet from US 41 to the new intersection. It also contains, I didn't put this on the slide, but that section of Joliet that's between the sets of tracks, near the old cemetery and Industrial Drive, that section will be done as part of this project as well. May 31st is the expected completion of 96 Place and pathway to Joliet, and the signal should be activated at US 41 and Wicker. Immediately following, the Joliet US 41 intersection will be converted to a right turn only, and there will be a concrete barrier placed in the center median where people are currently kind of tucking themselves out of the way to do that left turn into Joliet. So the concrete barrier and the right turn only was part of the plans from day one, but we could not install them because the new connection wasn't open yet. So we had to leave some way to get through there. So that's why there's no left turn lane there. It was never designed in. Didn't have the land acquisition for it either. So the traffic will be rerouted. So next slide, please. So this was the original roundabout that the previous administration had come up with for 96 Place, and it would have worked. It's a conventional roundabout. It has good angles. You see the road kind of comes in at a 90-degree, perpendicular to Joliet. Would have functioned well. The problem is a large portion of that curved roadway goes across 30-foot deep, like essentially quicksand. It's the deepest muck I've ever seen. So that's why the bids went over, and they had to look for an alternate. So if you go to the next slide, again, this was proposed by the previous administration, and this was the proposed reroute of the roundabout. So this is where we really got in trouble and tried to fix it last January. So you see how the road hooks out further and then comes back and does almost a U-turn. That roundabout would not be as functional as the original design. So what you'd have there is the cars that are coming from like the Gates area in Three Springs would have to slingshot all the way around the roundabout and feed in there. And cars that are queuing up to go east would be queued up there waiting. As those cars keep coming around, they wouldn't be able to pull out because they wouldn't know if those cars are going to go straight or turn. Furthermore, we still have the issue with the landowners and Thiel Cabinet Shop. So we looked for an alternative. And by the way, you could also see on that slide, can you go back? So that really dark part where you could see the dotted line where the original road went through, and there's there it is, that grayish area, that's the deepest muck. That's actually off a U.S. Geological Survey. So not sure why the road was planned across there, but definitely not the best place. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see the new road. There's your new road. That is one of the engineering slides. I apologize, it's a little bit busy. It's the best I could come up with. So there's your new road, and what you'll have is we made the road thinner to save money for taxpayers. We put the path on the on the south and east side of it. Then as you approach where he's got the arrow right now, there's a sweeping right turn, which you will not have to stop. That's a yield. So there'll be almost uninhibited traffic to make that right turn, because you're not going to have a lot of people coming off of 41, because remember, that's now going to be a right turn in and out. So that right turn is going to work really well. Now, traffic coming from the east, from Three Springs Gates, et cetera, they're going to have to make just a very basic left turn. And again, they're not going to have a lot of opposing traffic, because hardly anyone will be coming from US 41, as it'll be a right in, right out. So they'll just make a direct left turn instead of having a slingshot around that roundabout. This also cut costs significantly on the project, enabling us, to spend more on putting the path in and save money overall. We had to put a lot of money into the earthwork to be able to build this road. You're seeing that done now. So if you want to go to the next slide, please. So that's a close-up of the intersection. Wow, that makes me dizzy. So that's kind of how it looks. It's pretty conventional and simple. It also allows people to make a left on the Joliet if needed, like access to Mama D's or the tire shop, that kind of thing. So it'll be a fully functioning T intersection. It'll work quite well. Denny Cobb predicts it'll give us good service for quite a long time. You also see on this slide a little bit of our detention basin. So we had to completely redesign the detention basin last spring to be able to accommodate the water and stay out of that bad soil. So that whole design is finished. All the contracts were awarded. This project is essentially on cruise control at this point. I'm handing the baton over to Mikey to keep in touch with Scott Kuka and make sure it keeps on track. But it is pretty much on autopilot at this time. So just have to wait for the contractors to do their work and pull up the barricades and open it up. So that's good news. This is one more slide. I forgot I added this in. So this is right by Mighty Mike's Tires. There's a little plug for you, Mike.
A what?
A plug for your business.
Oh.
Right by Mighty Mike's Tires. There we go.
A play on words, plug. You plug the tire.
Oh, yeah. Hey, there you go. Nice. So, yeah. So that is where you'll see the right turn in, right turn out. These are the original plans from years ago, is what was supposed to be done, and we had to delay on that a little bit. And right there where he's putting the arrow, that's a concrete median between the hash marks to the right more. So there's those hash marks. That's it right there. That's going to be a concrete median about 4 foot wide, keep people from cheating, sneaking through there. So I'm sure somebody will try it. You get to fix their wheels.
There's a towing service down the street.
Yeah. So that finishes that. Is there any?
We're able to get into my place.
Oh yeah, you will be able to slip in there. We figured that out. Any questions or comments from the board or on that?
Is all the settling stopped now in that road?
It's going well. So there was one portion that settled on Christmas Eve. It was our Christmas present. A little portion right at the outer curve. And it was right under where the path's going to be. Fortunately, it wasn't under the road. It was just right next to it. It's like quicksand. It settled here, it settled like 20 inches and then popped up.
Mud wave.
So what they figured out, and they did an inexpensive fix. GEI came back on the case, for, the engineers, and decided that they would apply more soil where the soil popped up, sort of like a cantilever. So they applied more soil. They built up the soil where it popped up to kind of push it back. And it's working so far. So they still need to put one more lift on. And the change order for that's only going to be for the cost of the instrumentation to monitor it. And they were able to use the dirt on site and everything to do that. So they feel it's going to be pretty effective. And so far it's holding its own.
Yeah, they put, I think, 3 more plates in there to monitor if it's sinking or stopped.
Right, and
so that's good.
That small point will be 2 weeks behind the rest, but they can start the construction of the curbing and the intersection and all that ahead of time, and then work their way into that when it's ready to go. So should be good. So any more questions or comments on the 96 place? Okay, great.
Thank
That's
you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Did a ribbon cutting.
I'll be there.
We'll expect you to be. All right, item D, discuss development activity in Building and Planning Department.
Okay, one more for me. You guys are going to get tired of my voice. So just wanted to give an update on the Building and Planning Department, Plan Commission, BZA. So again, I just want you to know the status of those departments. So everyone's aware we have Sergio on board. He's doing a great job. He's come on board and jumped in with both feet. The Plan Commission is doing well. There's two major ordinances the Plan Commission oversees. One is the subdivision control ordinance. We've revised that last year and approved it. The other is the zoning ordinance, and I have been filling Sergio's desk with all the documents and bits and pieces he needs to get that done, and the Plan Commission's ready to do that. They're going to tackle it 1 month at a time, but they have all the data, all the information. They just need to fold it in and approve it. And I'm also grateful for the Plan Commission and BZA members. It's almost all new membership. They've done a great job coming up to speed and working on this stuff. So that's going to look, that's a good thing. So there are two other interesting things happening in town, and just thought I'd share this with the public. One is we had a new thing happen. About a month ago, we received a message from a business that wanted to relocate into St. John. And I don't mean a restaurant or anything. I mean light industrial business. And they're from Illinois. And it sounded eerily familiar to everyone who wants to relocate from Illinois because the taxes are so high, so they're buying houses here. Well, this is a business that could employ somewhere between 30 and 50 people, and in a light industrial area. And we do have land zoned light industrial between the railroad tracks, south of the fire practice facilities, the best way I could describe it. It's a pretty large parcel. I think Jason's going to bring it up. Thank you for driving, Jason. I appreciate that. So we have a large parcel of land in town that's already zoned light industrial and could be used for the benefit of residents to, there it is. Go ahead and click. There, that's a pretty big parcel. And that's also going to be where a new road will eventually connect from Joliet all the way to 231. There'll be a new north-south corridor there. So good light industrial businesses would come in and help offset our tax base and also bring more jobs in. So this business is from the southwest suburbs of Chicago. I had a conference call with them and Sergio and I and them, and they were really excited. And it was funny to hear the story of, well, our kids already moved out here, and well, we already come out here for our cottage, so we figured we'd just pull our business over here. And they were actually looking to locate on one of our commercial corridors, and we didn't think that was a good idea. So we're steering them to better zoning. But anyway, I think it's going to be the first of more. In fact, their real estate agent had mentioned that she may bring over more in the conference call. So get ready. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. We'll make sure it's developed right. We already have that road connection. We actually just updated our comprehensive plan late last year at the Plan Commission to include that road connection. So anybody who develops there has to put the road in. And piece by piece until it gets all the way through. So that was pretty interesting news. The other thing I wanted to share is we had a meeting with the Kmart representative today. The Garden Properties representative's name's Mark Hoffman. So Sergio and I had a 1-hour conference call with Mark Hoffman to update him on happenings in town, and he updated us as well. And he's getting a lot of interest on that site. And what's interesting is as we ramp up to turn that signal on, the interest is building. He said, no one's jumped off the cliff yet. He goes, but when one jumps, they're all going to jump. And so he said he has had multiple offers that people wanted the property or wanted to develop the property, but they've fended them all off. They've not been a good fit yet. I think they're just holding out to get obviously the best price and the best fit for the development. He foresees that would likely be a tear down and all new, but they're still saving that building. And I'm going to say this for any residents who ask that question. They've had instances where they've saved the building and eventually a user will come in and say, no, that building's perfect, but we're going to completely renovate it and use the bones. And it's advantageous to that developer. So that's why he's still keeping it, even though it's a burden. But he is enthused about what's happening in town. I actually gave him a similar presentation about 93rd 41, that we're investing money in the decorative lighting, things like that, and it really got his attention. Sergio is going to be sending him regular updates. I've directed Sergio to send him updates every time we hit a milestone with 96th Place or 93rd 41. And there's a meeting scheduled for April again, just to kind of give each other an update. But he's really waiting for that message where we say, hey, the light's turned on. It's really a big deal to them. So we've also expressed to him that the council here is very eager to see that land developed. We're eager to hear creative zoning for it. We're willing to try different new ideas, anything to eliminate the blight. So he knows we're very eager to work with them, and we'll pretty much, it's a clean canvas. I would recommend not adhering to the overlay district so much as, working with the developer to form something that's beautiful and well-built. So we can go a long way with that. So the dialogue's open. It'll continue to be open. We'll continue to keep him posted on milestones. And so they're excited to see what we're doing here. So that's all I got. Anybody have any questions on building and planning, Sergio, Plan Commission, BZA, any of that? All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you for your work there. We move on. 7E, consider ordinance 1727, which is the ordinance establishing the Town of St. John Park Board Family Garden Program Special Revenue Fund. This comes to us with a recommendation from the Park Board. Beth, did you want to go into detail?
Basically, this ordinance is creating, naming, and assigning a fund number for the community garden program. It's just a step that we have to take so that I can add it to our books.
Okay. And Wayne, did you want to, while we're here, you want to update what you did at the park?
The park department, they had a bid on fencing, 3 or 4 bids, and the lowest bid was for $6,900 for a fence. The town is going to run the water line in for that. The area is going to be 75 by 100 foot. It's going to be a 4-foot fence. I think a 12-foot gate on one end and another gate on the other end to allow access. The town is going to take the ground, the grass, and dig that out a few inches. And then I think they have I think it's B&D Sewer is going to donate the soil for an $1,800 savings. And I don't know if we have to set up an account for that, for them to deal with, or.
Yeah, that's a good question. Not sure how to handle that.
Right.
That
so,
donation. We'll cross
but that's what's going on with that. At least it's in the starting progress.
Right. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because we've got, besides the work that Wayne and the park department did as far as the fences there, we've got an Eagle Scout project that's going to make 10 of the raised beds, which is kind of exciting. And then so the park board basically approved around about $7,000 to take care of the fencing. And we kind of talked about, since this was a new project, that the town council would match what they did. So we'd like to contribute $7,000 from the general fund to the park department so they can earmark that for the community garden program. So I'd like to entertain a motion for that $7,000.
I'll make a motion to contribute $7,000 to the Garden Club project going forward.
Thank you, Brian. Is there support for that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Wayne. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0.
Mr. President, may I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Mr. Pondinas, do you foresee the fencing needing any kind of security gate like the dog park has, a fob to get in and out?
No.
Okay.
No, we're going to start out small and then keep on going. But I don't think that's necessary right now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for asking. Okay.
Yes.
We go on. Item F, consider resolution 21-01-27.
Did we do anything on that ordinance?
I don't think you passed the ordinance.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Oh, you didn't.
All right.
You're right.
Do I have a motion to consider ordinance 1727 on first reading?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there support for that?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. And then, since that's unanimous, is there a motion to adopt ordinance 1727?
So
and
moved.
authorize the town council president to sign?
So moved.
Thank you, Paul.
Second.
Thank you, Ryan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Thank you for that correction, Mike. All right, we move on to item F. which is Resolution 21-01-27, which is a resolution transferring funds from the escrow clearing fund to the general fund in the amount of $6,000. Beth?
This resolution was deferred last month so that my office could verify the addresses to be accurate, which we did, and so we would recommend considering this resolution.
Okay, so do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-01-27 on second reading?
So moved. Are these additional funds that are gonna come back into the town?
Yeah, they'll be transferred from our escrow clearing fund to our general fund.
Okay.
It's basically escrow checks that were written and,
That never came.
right.
Okay, so I have a motion. Do I have support?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. That is approved, 5-0. Item G, consider Resolution 2021-02-24A, which is a resolution adopting the joint interlocal cooperative agreement with the town of Sherrville for building inspection services.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 2021-02-24A.
Thank you, Paul. Is there support for that?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. That is approved, 5-0. Item H. Challenge this evening, it looks like. Consider Resolution 2021-02-24B, which is a resolution to enter into a cooperative agreement with Lake County, Indiana, to undertake community development activities. Does anyone want to address this?
Is this for the CDBG?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So this is just an agreement for us to partner along with the county
So that we could be eligible for those,
when the
that
funds become available.
federal funding. Yep,
Yes.
yep. Motion to adopt resolution number 2021-02-24B.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. That is approved, 5-0. Item number I, consider Resolution 2021-02-24C, which is a resolution to void stale checks that are outstanding and unpaid for a period of 2 years or more. Beth?
These are just outstanding and stale dated checks. They've been on our books for a period of 2 or more years and total $2,611.05.
Do any of them have my name on them?
Nope.
Too late now, it's over 2 years.
Bank won't cash them anyway.
Right.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second
Brian.
it.
Thank you. Was that Mike?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed say nay. That is approved, 5-0. Item number J is to consider the approval of the police department vehicles to be placed on the auction website. So it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4,
And we're 5.
5.
Yep.
5 vehicles that we need to get rid of to get posted on the state of Indiana's auction site. Any questions or comments from anyone?
This is gonna be a new process that we were gonna take in selling our vehicles. In the past, we used to do it under sealed bid. They'd come here and bid a quarter, and we'd award it to the highest bidder. Now it's gonna go to a state, now some people are familiar with gov deals or where you sell state surplus, so all the town vehicles will go on this website and it'll bring a broader view of bidders and,
More money.
more money, hopefully.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Even the cars that don't run, they tell me they'll bid on them for parts.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to consider the approval of the police department vehicles to be placed on the auction website.
Thank you, Mike. Is there support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. That is approved, 5-0. Item K, consider approval of Public Works vehicles to be placed on the auction website. And we are provided with a list of 4 vehicles there. Any comments or questions? Then I will ask for a motion to approve the Public Works to place vehicles on the auction website.
I'll make a motion to approve the Public Works, to place the vehicles on the auction site.
Thank you, Wayne. Is there support for that?
Second that.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved, 5-0.
That's good, because our lot was starting to look like a salvage yard.
All right, item L. Consider donations to Dollars for Scholars for Lake Central and Hanover School Corporations. You've got the letter in front of you. In the past, we've donated $1,000 to each of these organizations. Questions or comments? We did donate $1,000 last year, so that's typically what the town council has done. Is there a recommendation?
You know, I don't, this year with the COVID, do we want to continue with our donations, or?
Good question. I mean, if you look at the letter, it says, "Thank you for your past donations. Due to COVID-19, your support is important this year." So that's the details they gave us, but that's it, so.
Although there's
Your guys' desire on the Dollars for Scholars?
Well, although there's a little bit of a revenue loss, and we were talking about that before the meeting, we also were blessed to receive the CARES Act, which has really helped to reinforce things from behind. So I would like to support this all the more. These kids in these schools that work hard to get these scholarships. They work hard to get them.
And this is $1,000 for each school, or?
1,000 per district, school district.
So a total of $2,000?
That's what we've done in the past. I mean, we don't need to do that. If you want to modify that, you can, but that's what we've
I'll stick
historically
with it.
done. Okay?
I'll make a motion to consider the approval of $1,000 for Lake Central and Hanover schools for the Dollars for Scholars.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Is there support for that?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Paul. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved, 5-0. Item number N, consider the annual donation to the Safety Village in the amount of $27,500. Brian?
Safety Village has been in existence for over 15 years. Normally, before COVID, they had students at $5 a head coming through to be taught about fire safety. And basically, when you sit there and discuss the fact that we did have a fatality in fires in close by in the last few years, I think it's important that we continue to have this program. With COVID, of course, they can't bring kids through because of the social distancing and the mask requirements, and them having to take a bus there, so on and so forth. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to put a motion on the table to donate 15 grand to them and bring up the balance as of July of this year. Sherville's already contributed their 27.5. Dyer approved 15 grand already. So therefore, I think the fact that they're not getting the revenue from the children coming through as they normally do every year, things are real tight with them. They've cut back staffing and maintenance and so on and so forth. And even charity events, they've had fundraisers, but now with the COVID, the fundraisers are off the table as well. So they're really suffering. So I think we ought to consider going forward, give them some money to deal with, and then we can readdress the subject in July.
So your motion then is for $15,000
$15,000 with reconsideration in July of this year.
So no commitment for July, just reconsideration?
Correct.
Okay. So that is the motion for $15,000 for the Safety Village. Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Wayne. Any comments from anyone else? Questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved, 5-0. Item number N is to consider the 2021 Farmers Market vendor fees and the date to start accepting the applications. Isn't that coming through Parks or not coming through Parks?
I was just gonna ask, is that the case? I thought they were gonna take that up themselves.
Or is that town manager responsibility? Huh?
So Tyler, he did I think he sent out an email, and kind of checked the farmer's market rates and fees in the surrounding area. And I believe that, I didn't read it extensively, that he said our rates are in line with our surrounding communities. But that was the extent. I think he was tasked with I think his understanding was he was tasked with checking the rates with our surrounding areas.
Okay.
And I think he said, let me see, I can probably look it up. What is this, farmer's market?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so he says St. John Farmers Market. Okay, it seems that all the markets not only differ in vendors' fees, but how the fees are assessed, whether they're full season, half season, monthly, etc. It was his recommendation after he gathered the fees that, given COVID and the ramifications that it's had on local businesses, he would not suggest it being the right time to increase vendor fees. Again, that's just his opinion. He did provide a spreadsheet and compared our vendor farmers market to Cedar Lake, Munster, Hobart, Crown Point, and Valpo. And again, it kind of varied in the way in which they handled it, but it all kind of looked within the same range as what we are currently charging.
Okay.
Which is $350 for a full season fee. A half season fee is $250, and it does not look like we offer a single date fee.
Okay. Do you know what our starting date was last year? Do you recall?
I don't.
No? Okay. And, okay. So, what are your suggestions that we do with this, gentlemen?
Is it gonna be under the authority of the park department? I thought there was some discussion about that, and I don't remember seeing a final decision anyway, and I thought that was part of the discussion, is maybe this ought to be thrown into the park responsibility category. It makes sense.
I wouldn't want to do that without checking with the park board. to see-
No, I agree.
Property though, so
Right.
I don't know how you want to
Yeah.
work that.
I would almost tend to agree here with Brian, because given, we don't really have a town manager, and who's going to run it?
Right.
Or who's going to, I don't want to say run it, because you have
Monitor,
two
I think,
people
is a better
who go
word.
out there on Sundays and they kind of run the event, but who's overseeing it in the meantime?
Okay.
And I think it's more in the realm of parks than it is just town. It's like a little piece of the puzzle that the park's better equipped, the park board would be better equipped, the park director would be better equipped to handle it.
So, my recommendation would be that if we could ask if he would continue to drive this project on the short term, to see about doing a normal start date on this? And
Mr.
also-
President, the traditional start date is the first Sunday in May, and it ends the last Sunday of October.
Okay. So let me ask you this then. Are we okay with keeping the same rate structure and kind of keeping the same calendar?
I'm fine with that.
Yep,
Yeah?
I think that's advisable.
it works.
Okay. So let's do this then, and until we actually have a town manager that's going to run this. I would ask Wayne if you would talk to the Parks Board to see if they would be willing to allow the oversight of this temporarily, at least for this year, until we take it over, back.
Mr. President, there is actually a farmer's market manager that has
Right.
traditionally been out of the town manager's office.
Right. I understand that, but we don't have a town manager, so I'm going to see if the Parks Department will oversee that until we actually have a town manager. Is that acceptable, Wayne? Does that make sense?
We're just considering the fees and the date and the start time tonight, right?
I would like to get this thing set so that he can start giving some direction and say, let's start running with this thing, rather than set the fees and set the date and then try to figure out what's going to happen next. Let's just,
Yeah, that way we
Let's get the
decide on
direction.
who's gonna run it, and it's settled.
yeah.
So who would you want to be there or to?
No, we've got, Tyler can contact the lady who
Okay.
is managing it. She can continue to manage it if she's willing to do so. I would just like Tyler to be that point of contact at this point.
Point of contact at town hall. Yeah, I
Right.
don't know, that, just keep it simple. I wouldn't know if
Not
the
a problem,
park board
I'll make
or
a
any of that needs to be involved. He's, as a department head, he can just kind of be the go-between.
Exactly.
That works.
So if you guys are okay with that,
He would be the contact person.
yeah, then I would
Yeah.
like a motion to approve the vendor fees and the starting date of the first Sunday in May and start accepting applications for the farmer's market.
All right, I'll make a motion,
Okay, thank you, Mike.
set the fees for the 2021 farmer's market and the start date, and have Tyler be the contact person from the Parks Department on this.
Thank you. Is there support for that?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say
Aye.
nay. That is approved 5-0. And if there's a challenge or an issue with the park department, let me know and we'll figure out something else. Thank you. Item O, to consider the settlement with BLB and LBL. Mr. Westland.
So, as you're aware, we've been working really hard since our last meeting with regard to the different concepts that Paul presented. There were two different concepts at issue. I think, obviously there's dotting the i's and crossing the t's on any agreement, but I don't know that we've reached a complete meeting of the minds on which one of those two options we're going to proceed with. My suggestion would be that you're going to have a special meeting on March 3rd, that we present the final document. As you're aware, that document's got to be approved at a public meeting, so we present that at that time. It's not ready yet because I think there's still a little bit of some disagreement as far as which one of those two options is going to be the final decision. So gives us a week to get it hammered out and get the i's dotted and the t's crossed.
Okay. I'm good with that.
As am I.
So
Agree.
then we're gonna wait till March 3rd?
The March 3rd meeting.
Okay.
So we would just defer this at this point. Everybody all right with that?
Agree.
Then I'd like a motion to defer.
Motion to defer any decision on considering settlement with LBL, BLB, and St. John,
Thank you, Paul.
and deferring that to the March 3rd meeting, town council.
Okay, is there support for that?
I'll
I'll
Thank you, Wayne. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. That is approved 5-0. All right, reports and correspondence. Town council. We'll start with Mike. Anything?
I'll go back to the public comment, hand raising brought up that, we work for the people. I haven't lost sight of that since I started. I've continued to work, here for the people. As to the last meeting, I'll take a second and apologize to Beth. I took some of that as normal rhetoric that I get from Adrian at meetings, and maybe I should have acted differently. I apologize for that. Also, the month of February has been a busy month again for our Public Works Department. I would like to thank them on doing a fantastic job removing the snow. We've had a lot of snow. I was out there, you know, they thanked me, but I was out there for maybe like 2 hours. They were out there long haul, 36 hours, long days, long nights, without sleep. And I appreciate the work that they did. And makes my life a little bit easier because my number at our shop is one number off from Public Works. So when they get flooded with calls, sometimes the people are so fast to complain they misdial and get my shop anyways. So, I didn't get any of those calls, so I thank them, and then along with the rest of our town staff, you know, during the snow.
I must agree with Mike. Myself, I've seen the guys in operation, and they have done both salting and plowing. They've done an outstanding job this year. I think the residents ought to be glad that they've done such an outstanding job.
Yes, people do comment and you know, give them good comments, but the undertaking that the workers do go through and the long hours that they put in these events, you know, they signed up for it. I know they work there, but I don't think people realize the amount of time that actually goes into it. And
I don't think from some of the comments I've seen, I don't think people understand how difficult that job is. And we fortunately have two gentlemen sitting on this board who have jumped in occasionally and volunteered to go out and plow, help out the guys and go out and plow. So they're very experienced in the plowing that goes on and spreading salt. And I know from spending 9 months with Wayne campaigning that people sometimes don't understand how difficult that job is. Sitting up in a 5-ton truck with a big plow on the front and it's snowing like crazy and you can't see. And if you do happen to whack a mailbox or two, it's unfortunate, but the guys just don't see them because of the snow. So I think the residents should be thankful that they're doing such a heck of a job. And when you consider that some of the damage they do to the mailboxes is a small price to pay, and they will be replaced as long as the residents call into the town and tell them that the mailbox got nailed, which they will replace. They got mine 3 years ago, and they came in the spring, and I came home from work one day, and there was a brand new mailbox sitting there. So be patient with them. They're doing a bang-up job.
Anything else, Mike?
also, I want to thank Paul for working with him this past year and a half. You're a great asset.
We're gonna miss you.
And you made my life a lot easier. You were a workhorse. Thank you.
It's been a good ride. Thanks.
And I have nothing else.
Okay, Wayne.
Yeah, Mike was talking about snow removal. Our town, when a snow crew is out, there's 7 big trucks. We have 216, 218 miles of road to cover for those 7 trucks. Cherville is equivalent to that. They got 218, 220 miles from what I heard. Don't fact check it because it could be wrong. And that's not including the gates east and everything else. So we're going to be well ahead of the roads. But for 7 people to go out and plow like that, and when it's snowing an inch an hour, I was out and I had my area clean. And I went out to get breakfast and I come back and I was just in a road for 2 hours before that. And I called up the guy that I was helping. I said, it don't even look like we were here. So it takes a lot of patience for people, and it's easy to complain, and it's hard to do a compliment. So you have to appreciate those guys, and like Brian says, you hit a mailbox. Yeah, I've done it. Mikey's done it. Everybody's done it. So I would like to say, have people have patience for that, because it's not an easy job to get out there for 20 hours and sit in a truck. And then I'd like to talk about Public Works. Their contract for uniforms is about to expire. There was 2 quotes that they received, so I'd like to, the one that they chose was Aramark, and I'd like to make a motion that we let Bob Davis sign and execute that contract for Aramark, because what we have now is they're going to leave us, so hopefully we get a nice company with Aramark. Do we have to?
I don't think we need a motion.
Oh,
He can
okay.
handle that on his own.
Okay, all right. And then the Waterworks, let me back up. The Waterworks in Santa,
Hang on, Lee.
What?
I feel like you might need a motion because he's a department head, and I don't know that he'd legally have authority to sign a contract without them giving him authority. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know how much
I don't know how
contract
technical it
is
has to
for,
be.
but, I mean, I think to have it in the record and in the minutes for his,
Would it be a contract with the town, Dave, or would it be from the individual employees aspect, since they're renting the uniforms?
the town,
It is the town, okay.
right?
We don't have any
So we can
parameters
have
of
a
a
motion
contract,
and then
though, or
authorize Bob Davis to sign it.
That would be right.
Okay.
what do we, I don't have a problem with it, but what are we supporting to sign, really? We don't have any parameters in the contract or amounts or anything?
Well, I don't have the amounts with
Probably a
me,
weekly
but he
rental fee.
went through the quotes, and they chose Aramark over another company.
Okay.
So we just want to make sure that it's legal, that he can sign that contract.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a 3-year contract. What do we usually do with that?
Is it that long,
Didn't he
really?
give it to you? He gave it to you.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Can I, Wayne, it would be possible to get the contract and then have it put on the agenda for next Wednesday? Or
Yeah.
does he need it tonight?
Wednesday should be okay for him.
Yeah,
But
'cause
we'll
then-
need it prior to the next town council meeting, but.
Well,
but
can we approve that? I leave my papers on the counter, and the dog kind of took them, so.
Well,
Well-
the contract really should be reviewed.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
I can bring it to your office, and we can make a motion to have you look at the papers and everything is good, give him the authority to sign it per your recommendation?
yeah, I mean, you could do it that way. That's why I'm asking, like, does he need it signed tonight? You got a special town council meeting now
On the 3rd.
on the
Next
3rd, which
next
is next
Wednesday.
Wednesday. So you could actually,
I think he could probably wait. It's
I
not
would
that
say
pressing.
He can wait for that one till March 3rd, but I'll just cover the next one. This one, I think he'd feel more comfortable with, the SCADA project.
Right.
We had a bit of difficulty having that executed. So the sanitary district and the Board of Waterworks approved the SCADA project, $600,000 each. But then we couldn't get anybody to actually execute the contract. So we would like approval to have Bob Davis execute that contract so we can get SCADA moving. It's actually been executed by Bob Davis, so it would almost be a
Ratified.
ratified.
so, and this came up last week, and Beth had emailed me, and I said that was the way to do it, to get the ratification authorization from the council. But I think the bigger question that you're gonna have to delve into is why, if those boards approved them, why are they not, why is the president of those boards not signing them? And my understanding is they didn't want to, so that's why Bob was left to have to do it. To me, that's an issue, and it's not an issue you're gonna be able to resolve tonight, but you should be aware of that issue, and we need to get it addressed. Because you can't every time they go to approve something and then they go, well, we're not going to sign it. Bob, you do it. he's gonna be sitting there going, wait a second, what are we talking about?
And I just want to make sure Bob is,
So for
Covered.
tonight, just a motion to ratify the fact that he's executed that agreement would be fine. But going forward, we need to talk about how we're gonna address this.
So is the issue with water, is the issue with sanitary, or is it both?
sanitary. Water.
Water was-
Water,
Water.
not sanitary, it's water.
Water, okay. Okay. All right, so how do we want to word the motion then? We want a motion to ratify,
Bob Davis's execution of the contract for the SCADA system.
Make a motion to ratify the signature of Bob Davis to execute the SCADA system on behalf of the sanitary and water board, $600,000 each.
I'll second that.
thank you, Paul, thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Okay. Anything else, Wayne?
The SCADA system, it was approved by both boards. Brian and I were there, and they wanted reassurance that that's going to get, once that SCADA system goes, that they're going to get reimbursed for their the payment. So it's going to start out with sanitary first, and then we have to get a bond for water. So they want to make sure that they're going to get reimbursed for that.
Well, didn't they have Baker Tilly at their meeting
Right,
and address
and-
it?
Right, and I think next month, is March 24th, we need to bring that forward, at how that's going to get paid, because you're not going to get a bond if you don't bring up how it's going to get paid. So I think at our next meeting, I think Baker and Tilly will be there to explain that. And what we have to do as a board to get it done,
Us as a board or them as a board?
us as a board.
The bonding happens.
They've already made the recommendation to get it,
Okay.
to do it, to approve it, and we have to get the bonding issue done.
Gotcha.
And we committed to do the bond.
Right.
So that should be their reassurance that
Right.
it's going to get done.
Right.
Okay.
And all we're doing is guaranteeing the payments up until the bond arrives.
No, the council has to
Approved.
execute the bond, yeah, right.
We
And
have
I
to
know they've
execute
already
the bond
begun,
first.
Baker Tilly already begun the work, as I recall.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Should be it.
We'll go over to Brian. Anything?
No, sir, I covered it all, I think.
Okay. Paul?
Yeah, I also want to address Dan's comment. Beth, I apologize for not throwing him out. I got to tell you what, it's a deer in the headlights thing, and so that's a tough situation, and trying to figure out how to handle it. So so I apologize you had to be subjected to that, and I also apologize for not being better prepared at meetings, and we've done things in the background. There's a lot of things that have been done in the background. I want to address that comment as well. We can't talk about them, but we obviously vigorously pursue anyone who's breaking a law or allegedly breaking a law, whether it's in town hall or outside on the street. So that's the length of the comment I can give about that. The second one thing I wanted to bring up tonight, and this will be my last thing. So everyone is aware of the seemingly increasing crime in the region. There's been a lot of issues with chases back and forth across the state line, people stealing cars coming into the Tri-Town area, St. John and adjacent communities, and causing problems. I mean, I think we've had a lot of chases and issues and carjackings and just all kinds of stuff. People, and it's been difficult. Our police force has our police department's done a great job going after this. Not just our police department, but Dyer and Cherville. So I don't know if everyone is aware of this, but Chief Flores works hand in hand, multi-jurisdiction with these surrounding towns, trying to address these things. So it's not something they go and put on billboards, because we don't want the bad guys to know what kind of countermeasures we're implementing to try to deal with this stuff. But they have really stepped up to the plate to deal with these things, and if anyone reads anything on their computers, they've seen that they've apprehended quite a few of them too, and put an end to these crime sprees. But the way they've done that is via something they call saturation patrols. So again, working with neighboring towns, and these neighboring towns, by the way, are fully supported by their councils in this action. So you all know we have a limited amount of police on this department, and we don't approve overtime. It's comp time generally. So the chief is tasked with keeping the right amount of officers on shift, every day. And so to do these saturation patrols, these departments drop extra cops on the street, like right now, boom. And they pick certain times of the day, certain areas. They know where the problems come and go and how to monitor it, and it has been very effective. But the chief needs our support. So this is what I'm asking of this council, and I think it's important. So we brought the police department up a little bit in manpower last year, and they didn't get any additional this year. That's fine. But when it comes to these saturation patrols, we are, as taxpayers, getting a lot of bang for our buck with these saturation patrols. So instead of having X amount of officers on the street, all of a sudden he could just flood the street, catch these guys, and it's worked. So currently the overtime budget for the police department is only $5,000 a year. And Chief Flores estimates that'll run out in May, and he's not using that for fluff. It's not for any kind of luxury overtime. It's for these saturation patrols that have been effective, that they've actually caught these people. So I would like to recommend that this council beef up the overtime a little bit for the police department, specifically for this purpose, to the amount of $15,000 a year. And that money, compared to what it would cost to add officers and squad cars and all their equipment and everything, that money is actually very precisely used and goes a very, very long way in what it accomplishes in keeping our community safe. And I think he needs that tool in his toolbox. He's looked for other budgets to pull it from, and there's nowhere to pull it from. It's going to be a town council action to get it done. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to appropriate an additional $10,000 into the police department overtime budget.
I'll second that, Paul.
Thank you, Mike.
Questions or comments?
I got a question.
Yes.
Is the money in the budget?
I believe the general fund can support it. I also believe that the CARES Act money we had, we submitted using public safety manpower to actually get that reimbursement from the government to the tune of, I think, almost $500,000. And I guess the other thing I'll say is, can we not afford this? I mean, they've actually pulled some pretty bad dudes off the street this year. So I look at $15,000 a year to be that effective and actually partner up with these neighboring communities, because they're putting the guys in the street, and we need to do our part too. I think it's really important.
So I don't think you can certainly do an additional appropriation, but I don't think that you can make a motion appropriating more funds from the general fund, because it requires a public hearing and it
Right.
requires being noticed in the newspaper. So
I would revise that motion to set into motion.
Okay.
The actions necessary to increase the budget of the police department overtime to $15,000, no more than $15,000 a year.
Yeah, I kind of viewed Paul's initial motion as more of a conceptual motion, kind of leaving the details to a later time, right? Like, well, here's what I want to do. I want to take this additional.
I just want to make sure they realize you're doing an additional appropriation. That's what it will require, because when we get to that point,
Yes.
we were pretty specific. I remember that we weren't. So when we do, I just want everybody to be clear that's what you're doing, or we will be doing at some point.
Are we more in line than maybe appointing Mike, since Mike is the liaison to the safety board, to work with the chief, put this program in place, get the information that we need, and bring it forward at next month's meeting?
The program's in place, Jerry.
Special meeting
They've
or
been
the next regular month?
Regular meeting.
So Yeah, the program's in place. They've been utilizing the program, but they're going to run out of money in May. So, and it's been very effective. That has been.
So what I would propose, maybe instead of an additional appropriation, we could take a look at the town council budget, because now we've gone without a town manager. Let's take a look at how much savings that'll be. The recording secretary, you did some cost savings by having each administrative assistant from each department start doing their own minutes. So let's take a look at what that savings would be. And rather than doing an additional appropriation, maybe we would just do a transfer, a department from one budget to the next.
Yep.
As long as it gets
So.
them the tools they need.
Because we're looking at 10,000 since they have 5,000, if I'm understanding you correctly.
Correct.
So we very well,
So you're looking,
6,000 of that come from that escrow account that we closed out?
no,
Right.
because you did not appropriate those funds this year.
Right. We'll have to transfer funds or appropriate one or the other. But
Yeah.
The main thing is to support, I want to support our chief and our
We'll
department.
entrust you, Beth, with figuring out how to hustle the money around.
I think we can hustle the money around a little.
And again, I want to reiterate, in the case of the police department, comp time isn't an option for these saturation patrols, because then you're going to leave shifts uncovered. We're getting a lot of bang for our buck with a small amount of overtime. I mean, if the overtime was creeping up into ridiculous numbers, then I'd say, okay, well, it's just time to hire another guy then, right? But 15,000, and you don't have to duplicate equipment and manpower when he's using this in a very surgical way. These saturation patrols are definitely getting the job done. It's been a good ending a lot of times. There's been a lot of our police officers doing some valiant work out there, and I appreciate that.
so Beth, do we want to approve a motion tonight, or do we want to wait till you actually come with the funding and?
I mean, the
approve it at that
transfer
time?
would just require, which I'll be presenting at the next regular scheduled meeting anyways, it would just be in a resolution, a category to category transfer resolution. So I'll figure that out and I'll just put it on that resolution.
Okay.
I mean, this is a good year to do it since there have been some staffing changes.
Right.
So we can probably,
So we'll deal with it next month.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'd like to say something. I'm not against that. Anytime we spend money into town, we have to ask Beth or somebody, where's this money? Do we have it? And I'd rather just make sure that we have it and we do it the right way, then we don't look silly. But Chief Flores and his department, they do a good job.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Paul, that the saturation patrols are good, and Chief is back there. You do a great job, Chief. Keep it up. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
For
Chief.
sure. And we definitely have the money. We just have to show, if we got 7,000 for a guard, and we're going to make sure we get them police on the street. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. It's really, with the uptick in crime in the last 6 to 12 months, it's become more of a concern of mine for sure, as well as all the residents. There's been a lot of chatter about, like, wow, it's every day now. So we got to support them, get these bad guys. So thank you.
Okay. So I guess on the fact that, Paul, this is your last meeting, I would like to thank you for the work that you've done here. Not only just the work on the town council, I mean, the work that you've done for the town prior to that even, with your years on the Plan Commission, helping drive a lot of these projects. The amount of time that you've spent this year just working on CHOPS 96, and the issues and problems and challenges we've had there, as well as some of the others. The time that you've spent with Wayne dealing with the Lawton, trying to get that settlement done. We're going to miss the energy and the effort, the time that you've put in, and also the positive results, because you've done a lot in just the time that you've been here to help this town, not only presently, but also going forward. And we'll look at what you've done at the building and planning as far as subdivision control ordinance. That's a lasting document that's going to continue to go on. The recommendations on the zoning ordinances and things like that, I think people don't realize how beneficial it is and has been to have you driving those projects. And so I would like to say thank you. I'm sorry to see you go. I understand the reasons behind it. But as I conclude
my part of this meeting, I would just like to thank you for your work here, and I believe that you deserve a hand.
Thank you, Paul.
I'd just like to thank the residents for supporting me in the position, and nothing feels better than getting stuff done. Every time we get something approved, a project finished, a project started, it's a great feeling to help the town and help the residents, and I think everyone should step up to the plate for civic involvement, even if it's just a board or a commission or volunteering or anything. I mean, it's challenging and rewarding at the same time. So I do appreciate everyone's support to put me in a position to actually accomplish, hopefully, what your visions of the town. I've served the residents all along. I don't like the political end of it. I always try to do the will of at least 51% of the residents. Hopefully, that puts me on the right side of things. So I definitely appreciate the support. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for all your hard work, Paul.
I like to say the same thing, Paul. You do put a lot of hard work in the things when you get involved. You're like a little Pac-Man, so you just keep on going. So again, I appreciate what you did.
Yeah.
And good luck in your move and
Appreciate that, Wayne.
in the
Thanks.
job. Thank you.
Been good working together.
Yeah, I'll echo Wayne's comment. Good luck in your new adventure.
Yeah, thank you. I won't be that far, so I'm gonna come around and check on y'all once in a while.
Oh,
Because we could
joy.
probably use a little help once in a while.
You got my phone number. I've
Consulting fees.
left that in. Yeah, it'd be free as long as the work gets done.
Also, I would like to also address Daniel's comments in the public session. I thank everyone for their comments, because as a country that gives everyone the freedom to speak, doesn't necessarily apply to this meeting. This board determines whether we're going to allow public comment or not. So everyone has been given that opportunity. So I thank everyone for taking the time to come here. Do I appreciate all the comments? No, not always. But even Daniel's comments tonight, I thanked him for them, because he has the right to say that. He feels that this board did something incorrect, and he has the right to call us out for that. I apologized to Beth after the meeting. I apologized to Beth's husband after the meeting, and I shook his hand, not Adrian's hand. I didn't even talk to Adrian after the meeting. But again, I would like to then publicly apologize to Beth, apologize to Beth's husband, and also apologize to the public for having to hear that rambling, and wish that legally I could do more. But I just felt that I did as much as I could, so I will leave it at that. Beth, clerk treasurer.
So I have 3 items. One, I know you guys just thanked Paul, but I also wanted to thank Paul for his service to the town. He was extremely dedicated, spent many hours planning numerous projects, and I wholeheartedly and truly believe he cares deeply about our town. He's going to be missed. I certainly wish you well, Paul, on your future endeavors, and I hope you do keep in touch. So we're gonna miss you.
Check it on you.
Yeah, check it. So, okay, let's do garage sale next, the townwide garage sale.
Okay.
So, last year was COVID, so we didn't have a townwide garage sale. If you recall, we did the survey where we asked the residents for their input on which weekends they most preferred for the garage sale. They chose, and so I went from the 2020 dates and brought them into 2021. So the survey came back for Thursday, for 2021 dates, Thursday, June 3rd through Sunday, June 6th, okay? The original dates, if we were going with how we did everything in the past, would have been Thursday, April 29th through Sunday, May 2nd. So residents are asking if we're doing a townwide garage sale, and if so, what dates? If you recall, you would be waiving a $5 permit fee. That permit fee is assessed through ordinance 1248. You probably would have to do a motion for that as well. But if we can nail down the dates, that would be great.
I'm fine with
Usually the first weekend of May, or
This year, it would be April 29th through May 2nd, but last year we put out the survey, and the survey results said that residents would prefer,
June
the
3.
the majority of residents
I didn't
would
realize.
prefer that June 3rd through June 6th.
time limits.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with that. June 3rd through June 6th. Everybody else?
I'll make a motion to, set the townwide garage sale date from June 3rd to June 6th and waive the $5 permit fee during June 3rd and June 6th of 2021.
Thank you, Mike. Is there support for that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Paul. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved, 5-0. Okay.
Okay, so the last item has to do with the CDBG grant. So if you recall, you did kind of two portions to the grant. One was for Founder's Park, one was for Prairie West. Due to the cost projections for the Prairie West parking lot expansion, that project's been placed on hold. So Tyler and I were talking about what to do with that $15,000 that the CDBG allotted to that project. And so I said, hey, just give them a call and see what they say about transferring or reallocating that $15,000 to Founder's Park. I didn't think they'd do it, but they said, sure, we have no issues doing that. So we talked to Nicole, which is the park board's attorney, and she prepared just a very basic letter for your consideration tonight. Basically, just we had to put it on paper for the CDBG grant. Basically, asking for that $15,000 to be transferred to Founder's Park ADA improvements. This will allow the town to utilize the entire allocation of $85,912 rather than losing out on any of those funds. We do have the letter prepared on town letterhead, and so we're just looking for a motion to have the town council president execute that letter if you feel so inclined.
Is that funding, the rest of that funding being held up yet, or is it going to be released?
The
It was being held
CDBG,
for a time being, wasn't it?
no. No. The CDBG money will be released as the project occurs.
Okay.
The funding that's being held up for Founder's Park is that, I don't know who did it. It's like a federal money
federal
from,
grant?
yeah, some sort of park funds. So they have given kind of like the go-ahead to start Founder's Park, that we will receive our grant money. They're not going to pull it from us, but we don't have anything in writing just yet saying when we'll get the money.
Okay.
So the park board did approve moving forward with Founder's Park at their last meeting, because they kind of felt like worst case scenario, if for some reason that grant money didn't come through, they still see benefit in having a park at that location.
Sure.
So they said they were going to move forward with Founder's Park. They feel strongly enough that they're going to receive those grant dollars back from, I don't remember who, but it's federal dollars. And as part of that, they would like to just transfer that $15,000 of the CDBG grant dollars over to this project. This portion of the project has to be completed by June 15th. So
Okay.
they're kind of on a tight time frame now. Not the whole project, but just the ADA improvements at Founder's Park have to be completed by June 15th for that CDBG money.
Okay. Good. So is there a motion to,
I'll make a motion to transfer the $15,000 from the Prairie West Fund to the Founders Fund and have the town council president sign and execute.
okay, thank you, Mike. Is there support for that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Paul. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. That is approved, 5-0. Anything else, Beth?
No.
Mr.
Don't you
Westland?
have the RTPs?
That's coming up.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Westland.
I don't have anything.
All right. Grant. All right. Then we go to item number 8. The RTPs, Beth?
I presented you with 7 RTPs totaling $55,492.75. for consideration this evening.
Okay. Any questions or comments on these? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
I just want to make a comment. I'm sorry. Just make a comment. There's a few residents out there. I don't know if they're going to watch this live stream or not, but one of the RTPs is to approve funding to fix the drainage issue on 85th and hopefully curtail some of the deterioration happening to 85th right now. So I'll be happy to see that work underway. I know Bob Davis said they'll get out there as soon as it's clear enough to get it done and scrape it and get that drainage fixed. 85th near, what is that, Fairway? Fairway, yeah, right by Fairway. So we heard you, we saw it. I know they put gravel in there temporarily, but we're actually putting a drainage solution in to stop the deterioration and looking to work with county and Cherville to do the road. And based on some of the bids I heard tonight, cross your fingers if they meet the requirements, we'll have some excess money in the road budget this year and maybe can do a little bit more work. So, 'cause some of those bids were significantly less than 2 million. That was a good thing to hear. Let's just hope they meet the specifications.
Right.
Yep.
All right, so do I have a motion to accept the RTPs?
Motion to accept the RTPs.
Support for that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Wayne. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved, 5-0. Item number 10, payment of the bills. You have in front of you the docket for $1,484,980.54. Have a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there support for that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Wayne. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. That is approved, 5-0. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
This meeting is adjourned.